Hi, in this video I'll read Ocean Vuong's Kissing in Vietnamese as an example of a poem that deals explicitly with generational trauma. Born in 1988 in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and descending from both white and Vietnamese grandparents, Ocean Vuong is one of the rising voices in American literature today. One of his recurring themes is growing up with memories of the war in Vietnam. This war is remembered as a national trauma for the American people and as a source of trauma for individual American veterans. But it was, of course, even worse for Vietnam and the Vietnamese living there during the war, including Vuong's grandmother who raised him. While it is worthwhile to have this history in mind as context, I will not try to say that the poem is directly a reflection of Vuong's own traumas. I don't really know him as a person, I know him as a poet, and I am certainly not a psychologist. We'll read the poem as a poem and not just as a confession. Still, one of the themes of the poem is certainly trauma. I will now read Kissing in Vietnamese, then read it again with comments, and then add some more big picture remarks in the context of intergenerational trauma. I recommend reading the poem on your own before engaging with my interpretation. Kissing in Vietnamese. My grandmother kisses as if bombs are bursting in the backyard, where mint and jasmine lace their perfumes through the kitchen window, as if somewhere a body is falling apart, and flames are making their way back through the intricacies of a young boy's thigh, as if to walk out the door your torso would dance from exit wounds. When my grandmother kisses, there would be no flashy smooching, no Western music of pursed lips. She kisses as if to breathe you inside her, nose pressed to cheek so that your scent is relearned and your sweat pearls into drops of gold inside her lungs, and your sweat pearls into drops of gold inside her lungs, as if while she holds you, death also is clutching your wrist. My grandmother kisses as if history never ended, as if somewhere a body is still falling apart. So now the poem again with my comments. The title of the poem is Kissing in Vietnamese. We often assume that kissing is universal, that it does not have a specific language, right? One doesn't kiss in English or in Italian or in French. But for Vuong, there can be such a thing as a culturally specific kind of kiss. A kiss that is created, is given in the language of Vietnam. To begin the poem. My grandmother kisses. We see that this poem will be about the connection with the grandmother. She's the one kissing in Vietnamese. My grandmother kisses as if bombs are bursting in the backyard. We have the powerful contrast between kisses and bombs. But in this poem, it's not a contrast. The bombs are part of the kisses. If you want the kisses, the connection, the warmth, they come with the feeling of bombs bursting. The price of a kiss is this connection to bombs bursting. Notice, it's not a memory. It is as if it is happening at the same time as the kisses. Trauma is always present, not something left behind. You'll also notice the strong alliteration. Alliteration means repeating of opening consonants at the start of words. Bombs bursting backyard. The B sound creates a kind of repeating explosion within the line. The B sound also connects the bomb with the backyard, a place we might associate with playing or growing, but here it is a place for bombs to burst. The alliteration emphasizes how everyday life and violence are interconnected in the grandmother's behavior. Bursting in the backyard, where mint and jasmine lace their perfumes. Through the kitchen window, you can smell the pleasant growing things from the garden, but for the grandmother, it is still a place of danger. As if somewhere a body is falling apart, and flames are making their way back through the intricacies of a young boy's thigh. As if to walk out the door, your torso will dance from exit wounds. The speaker can feel all these horrors that belong to the past war, but feel to the grandmother and even to the speaker as if they are still happening, still have the potential of happening if you just walk out the door. Through her kisses, she passes on the memories, no, not the memories, the realities of trauma, the presence of trauma. When my grandmother kisses, there would be no flashy smooching, no Western music of pursed lips. She kisses as if to breathe you inside her, nose pressed to cheek, so that your scent is relearned and your sweat pearls into drops of gold inside her lungs, as if while she holds you, death also is clutching your wrist. Here the speaker describes how the grandmother's physical actions communicate anxiety. He contrasts it to a more relaxed Western way of kissing where you can make noise, music, or be flashy. The grandmother's kisses are more serious. They are an attempt to memorize the person being kissed, to make him part of her. Your sweat pearls into drops inside her lungs. The grandmother is in competition with death, which is personified as someone who can hold the speaker too. Death's grip is in competition with the grandmother's kiss, but at the same time, the speaker may want us to understand that the grandmother is transferring this obsession with death to him. As she fights death over his body, she gives him this sense that he must fight death as well. And the final lines, my grandmother kisses as if history never ended, as if somewhere a body is still falling apart. Again, there's an emphasis on the continuous presence of the trauma. Whenever she kisses, it's like she has flashbacks, and she passes these flashbacks to her grandchild, the speaker. We can notice the break in the line, the enjambment, between still and falling apart. It creates a brief second of suspense. Is the body still as in quiet, unmoving? What is the body still doing? Is it a living body or a dead body? This extra second between lines opens up possibilities, ambiguities, but then closes them with the idea of falling apart, of death. After this close reading, I want to add some general remarks about this poem. This poem addresses moments of communicating trauma. Even without the grandmother talking about it directly, the speaker knows that the trauma of the war in Vietnam is still living within her. It is an ever-present force because she is post-traumatic. I think the poem is more ambiguous about the transfer of trauma to the next generation. It's not totally clear if the speaker is traumatized by his grandmother's post-traumatic kisses. You might say, no, he is not. He can separate his grandmother's emotions and reactions from his own. He can tell us about his grandmother and what she is like without becoming her, without becoming his grandmother. On the other hand, the speaker is the one who experiences the kisses and gives us the words that describe them. The poem does not say she kisses as if she thinks there's a body falling apart. No, it says as if a body is falling apart. They both, the grandchild and the grandmother, both feel this traumatic falling apart of bodies together. The trauma lingers with the younger generation. Is there no hope then? Is this family doomed to trauma and anxiety? Will the speaker too kiss as if a body is falling apart? I actually think there is a hope in this poem. The speaker can voice the trauma that the grandmother seems to only be able to express with actions. The poem itself might be an opportunity to give a fuller picture and maybe move towards overcoming generational trauma. Let me know if you have any questions, if you agree with my reading or find something missing in it. Thank you for listening.